If you've been thinking about moving to Fort Langley, BC, then you're in the right place because in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about Fort Langley. I'm going to be going over everything from its location to the time it takes to drive to major landmarks, shopping, amenities, schools, parks, and so much more. And it's all coming at you right after this. What's going on, guys? My name's 𝐁𝐨𝐿𝐿 and I'm a local realtor that both lives and operates my business here in Langley, BC. If this is your first time on my channel, I make weekly real estate videos pertaining to the BC and Canadian real estate market, as well as showcase community tours across the Lower Mainland. So if that's something you're interested in seeing more of, I suggest you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you're notified whenever I come out with a new video. And this is yet another video in my Langley community tour series, so if you haven't seen the other ones, I suggest you head over to my channel and check them out as well. I put a ton of time into making these videos to try and educate you about the different communities across the Lower Mainland, so all I ask from you is to hit that thumbs up button so the algorithm will push these videos out to more individuals just like yourself who want to learn more about Langley. And if you are someone who's considering making the move to Fort Langley, or maybe somewhere else within the city, or even any of the surrounding communities or cities, you can scroll down and hit the link in the description to book a call with me to go over your unique situation and see what your options are. But that's enough of that, so let's get right into it. Fort Langley is actually known as the birthplace of BC. It's the home of the Fort Langley National Historic Site, which used to be a Hudson's Bay trading post. With a population of less than 4,000 people, it's one of the trendiest and most charming communities in all of Langley. Fort Langley is a historically significant community in Langley. In recent years, many of the village's old buildings have been restored. The restorations, combined with its rural setting, access to the river and mountain vistas, local amenities, and the old fort itself make it a thriving tourist center. And now on to its location. Fort Langley is located in the northern part of Langley and runs along the Fraser River. It's bordered by Walnut Grove to the west, the Fraser River to the north, County Line Glen Valley to the east, and the Willoughby and Salmon River areas to the south. There's only a few roads that lead in and out of town, so you'll likely be taking either Glover Road, River Road, 88th, or 96th Avenue, depending on where you're coming from and where you're headed. Moving on, let's look at the driving time to some major landmarks. It's going to take you about 15 to 20 minutes to get to Costco in Langley, 50 to 60 minutes to get to downtown Vancouver, 30 minutes to get to Burnaby, 30 minutes to get to Abbotsford, 25 minutes to get to the SkyTrain station at King George, 50 minutes to get to the Vancouver airport, 30 minutes to get to the US border, and 50 minutes to get to the Tsawwassen ferries. In regards to housing, Fort Langley is a much less densely populated area in Langley. It's a pocket of primarily single-family homes surrounded by farmland. In regards to the homes here, you're going to be able to find a mix of old and new. Overall, there are very few condos and townhomes, and those that are here primarily run along the river and are going to come at a price. Some of the older heritage homes here have been restored to retain their historic look, while some of the small, older ranchers are being torn down to build brand new luxury homes with an exterior to suit the heritage look of the area. Additionally, parking can be difficult to find in the town's core, as well as street parking in the surrounding areas, especially on weekends when the town gets an influx of tourists. In regards to the current benchmark prices, detached homes are going to be $2.482 million, townhomes are $1.139 million, and condos are at $909,000. This puts all three property types at a higher price than the rest of Langley. Keep in mind that these are the prices as of the current date of making this video, however they're likely going to be changed if you're watching this at a later time. So I've left you a link down in the description that will provide you with current up-to-date prices. Next, let's take a look at the rental market. In regards to rental prices, this data is a little bit more difficult to find because there isn't very much to draw from. However, if you are able to find a one-bedroom condo, you're probably looking at about $2,000 to $2,200 per month. And if you manage to find a two-bedroom, you're looking at a minimum of $2,600 and up. And to be completely honest, it's probably going to be more than that. With a lack of townhomes and condos, combined with the higher prices, these factors contribute to shrinking the rental inventory even more. So if you are lucky enough to find something, expect to pay a premium, especially if you have pets. Next, let's look at the highlights of the area. First, it's the parks and outdoors. The Fort to Fort Trail through Derby Reach that runs down the river is one of the nicest walks anywhere in Langley. If you're a golfer, you can hit up the Redwoods Golf Course for 18 holes, and if neither of those are of interest to you, the village is always a popular spot for tourists, diners, and shoppers. Next is the character, history, and charm. Fort Langley is notable for having tall tree-lined streets, as well as being home to many small independent businesses. And whether you know it or not, there were many cheesy Hallmark movies filmed here. There's also plenty of history, festivals, and parades that give the area a culture of its own. So it's no wonder that it's such a popular tourist destination with over 60,000 tourists visiting every single year. here. Next is great food and dining. Fort Langley has more dining options than you could possibly ask for, and in a variety of styles. And I'll get to a few of my favorites shortly. You're not going to see any Cactus Clubs or McDonald's here. The independent local owners are what gives Fort Langley its uniqueness and culture. Moving on, we have shopping. Fort Langley is full of quirky little shops. It has an eclectic mix of independent clothing, antique, and home furnishing stores. You can really get everything you need here without having to leave town. And lastly, it's pet friendly. Not only do they have a dog park along the river, but many stores will allow well-behaved dogs to come in with you. And you'll see plenty of other dog owners out and about taking their furry friend for a walk on a daily basis. Next, let's take a look at the parks. And there are two that I'd like to highlight. Number one being Derby Reach Regional Park, and number two being the Fort Langley Community Park. One of the biggest highlights at Derby Reach is the Fort to Fort Trail, and this is one of the nicest walks in all of Langley. Additionally, the park offers a camping area located along the river, an off-leash dog area, and easy walking trails that are popular year-round. Located next to the Langley Fine Arts School, here you'll be able to find a baseball diamond, playground, soccer field, and tennis courts. As for golf courses, Fort Langley is home to 3. You've got the Fort Langley Golf Course, Belmont Golf Course, and Redwoods. And as I already mentioned, Redwoods is definitely the favorite here. Next, let's talk about the schools. There are 3 schools in Fort Langley, including the Langley Fine Arts School, Fort Langley Elementary, and Des Voyageurs, which, if you couldn't tell by the name, is a French immersion school. As for daycares, there's only a few in Fort Langley. However, the good news is that there's several more only 5 to 10 minutes away in Walnut Grove. But just a suggestion is to inquire as soon as possible if you are thinking about making the move to Fort Langley, because there can often be long wait lists, sometimes up to a year or longer. So I suggest you get on that right away. Moving on to the amenities, you're not going to find any big box stores or chains. As I already mentioned previously, it's the independent local business owners that actually give Fort Langley its sense of community. As far as amenities go, the big one here is definitely the Fort Langley Historical National Site. Going here, you get to experience what it would be like to travel back to the 1800s. You'll be able to watch demonstrations like blacksmithing and barrel making, as well as take a guided tour and pan for gold. Children can also dress up, explore the children's play area, and participate in the Explorers program. In regards to grocery stores, you're going to have 3 main locations. You've got Lee's Market, B&J Grocery, and the Fort Langley Village Farmers Market. For everything else, you're going to want to take your weekly trip to Costco. Moving on, let's talk about the restaurants. And to do so, I'm going to name off a couple of my favorites. First of all, we've got Beatnik's Bistro. This is a low-key spot set in a converted heritage home in one of the oldest buildings in all of Fort Langley. They serve classic, comfort-style dishes with fresh ingredients, great cocktails, and hand-curated playlists. They've also got one of the best patios in all of Fort Langley. A few quick suggestions is to definitely have the sangria if you're there in the summer, and don't miss out on their coconut fried prawns. Next is a Blacksmith Bakery. Blacksmith has a great atmosphere with amazing pastries and breakfast plates. It's definitely worth stopping here whether you live in Fort Langley or not. Moving on, we've got the Trading Post Eatery. This is the perfect place to stop whether you're looking for a beer, lunch, or dinner. The heated patio can be enjoyed year-round, while their new turfed parking lot patio is where you'll want to be spending your time during the summer. Their menu changes seasonally and features produce from farms all across the Fraser Valley. From burgers to salads and pastas to appies, they've got something for everyone. And last, we've got the Little Donkey. The restaurant name actually comes from the translation of Little Donkey in Spanish, which means burrito. When you come here, you can expect to enjoy a fusion of unconventional burritos using fresh, locally sourced, wholesome ingredients. Feel free to have a delicious draft beer, lager, or sangria while you're at it. And because there are just too many great restaurants to mention, I want to leave you with a couple last notables. And those are Wendell's Bookstore and Cafe, the Rail and River Bistro, and Republica Coffee Roasters. Next, in regards to fitness facilities, there's not a ton here. There are a few small fitness studios here, however, depending on what you're looking for, you may need to look elsewhere. As far as entertainment goes, I want to mention a few notable festivals. First, you've got the Somerset Festival. Here, you'll be able to enjoy performances by award-winning artists, as well as indulge in some fantastic food and craft beer. Next, you've got the Jazz and Arts Festival, which I think pretty much speaks for itself. And lastly, you've got my personal favorite, the Fort Langley Beer and Food Festival. This is a local event which focuses on local craft beer, wine, and ciders. There's also live music, entertainment, and lots of food options. Next, let's take a look at the walkability of the community. Fort Langley's businesses are all situated situated close to Glover Road, with most of the residences within walking distance to shops and restaurants. The walk score here is a 67 because it is considered quite walkable, and this is especially true if you're located in the core of Fort Langley. A lot of your daily errands can be accomplished on foot. However, if you're in the outskirts of Fort Langley, a car is definitely required. And in all honesty, I think regardless of where you live in Fort Langley, it's a good idea to have a car anyways. Next, let's take a look at the bikeability. The bike score here is even higher than the walk score at 74, as Fort Langley is considered very bikeable. Because of its many bike lanes, wide roads, and the fact that it's very flat, Fort Langley is both easy and convenient for almost all bike trips. Moving on, let's take a look at the transit. Unfortunately, if you're looking for a bus, the transit system's lacking here. In regards to trying to get a taxi or rideshare, it's not the best either. And as I previously mentioned, it's in your best interest just to own a car. As far as rapid transit goes, such as the SkyTrain, there's also nothing here. And as previously mentioned, the closest SkyTrain station is about 25 minutes away. But if you have watched any of my other videos, you'll know that there is a SkyTrain extension coming from Surrey into Langley by the year 2028. However, this will be headed into Langley City around the 203rd area, so you're still going to have to be able to get there. And as for an overall transit score, Fort Langley gets a 26. Because although it does have a few public transportation options, overall it's just not great. Moving on, let's look at who Fort Langley is best for. First, it's going to be your empty nesters. Once the kids have moved out and it's time to downsize, Fort Langley is a hot destination. And a big reason for this is due to the community's walkability. Whether you're into golf, yoga, painting, music, rowing, gardening, hiking, kayaking, it's all there. Next is going to be established families. Fort Langley is a wonderful and safe place to raise a family, but with all its charm and character, it doesn't come cheap. Providing both peace and security, Fort Langley is one of the quietest and safest neighborhoods in all of Langley. And not to mention, your kids will probably love the area just as much as you do. And lastly is small business owners and young professionals. Fort Langley is a great spot for those who own small businesses or those who are self-employed. With a community made up of independent business owners, you'll fit right in. And if your business operates out of Fort Langley itself, that's just a bonus for you. And before I wrap up this video, I just want to go over a few things that you might not like. First of all, it's the mosquitoes. In the summertime, it can be pretty bad, and even bad enough that you choose to sit indoors on a warm summer night. Next is the parking. Unfortunately, with so many visitors and tourists alike, parking in Fort Langley can really be a pain, especially on the weekends. But if you're able to have a little bit of patience and you're lucky enough to find a spot, then you'll get the opportunity to find out why Fort Langley is so amazing. So if you can get over those two little speed bumps, then I think you're gonna absolutely love it here. But that's about gonna do it for my video today. So if you did get any sort of value whatsoever, all I ask is that you hit that thumbs up button. And if you are interested in seeing more videos just like this one, I suggest you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you're notified whenever I come out with a new video. And if you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down below and I'd be happy to get back to you. And if you are considering making the move to Fort Langley or any of the surrounding communities within Langley itself, you can scroll down and book a call with me to discuss your options at your own convenience. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.